Hey guys, Steven Universe is created by Rebecca Sugar, owned by her own Cartoon Network. And before I get into this review, which is for Buddy's book, I actually watched the leak and reviewed it the same day of the leak, which is like 2 or 3 days early. But I'm gonna upload it, put it on private, and then the morning of the episode that will release later that day, that's when I'm going to post it to the public, because I don't know if I'll get in trouble if I post it early or not, so I'm just not taking any risks. But yeah, so I'm reviewing what am I talking about? I'm reviewing Buddy's book, and in Buddy's book, what happens is it starts out with Lion doing his little teleportation type thing, and apparently he knows where to go, even though Steven hasn't been there before. But regardless, he goes to the library because Connie wanted to show him, since Steven likes reading now. And they go in there and he gets all excited. Of course, he's told which is, the classic joke for that. And Connie says that she has to study and stuff, so she gets a whole bunch of books. She's getting ready for 7th grade. Okay, I guess that is age appropriate. I'm just saying, I think I was... No, I was her age when I was going to 7th grade, 12. So she's going to study for 7th grade early, because, that's what she's doing. I feel like her hair, she's gotten a haircut or something in this, because her hair just looks either shorter or she's done something. I don't know why, it just looks different. But, so she's studying, and she tells Steven to just go get a book and come back to read next to her, and maybe they can chat a little bit or something. But and he goes around and he's looking at the books, and he finds one on the floor and sees it's blank, opens it and sees drawings of gym things. He takes it back over to Connie and tells her what it is, and when she realizes, she's like, you know what, I don't need to study, and just smacks all the books away. And they start reading it, and it was about Buddy, not Mayor Dewey. It was, I don't remember it was the first, as Steven puts it, the first Mayor Dewey of Beach City, and Jamie played him in that one play a while ago, and so the entire time they're imagining it with Jamie, and there's a Jamie voiceover and everything, which they kind of made the reading probably how Steven and Connie would imagine Jamie would be saying it, because they were since Jamie played First Mate Buddy, they just imagined that him as First Mate Buddy, which kind of bothered me. I didn't like the dramatic voiceover of it, because Jamie's over dramaticness of things kind of bothers me. I don't know why. But it's talking about how Buddy wanted to go and adventure after settling in Beach City. He didn't want to be there, and he sets out and he finds the strawberry battlefields, and Garnet and Pearl are there wearing their current outfits, which I was kind of confused about. And then it cuts back to Steve and Connie, and Connie's like, oh, wouldn't they look different? And he's like, oh yeah, they would. So they changed the image of it to what they look like in that one painting that we saw way back when we found out in Too Many Birthdays, I believe is what it was called, when Steven was giving all the gems their own birthday party. We saw a picture of Garnet punching a shark in old clothes, Rose wearing her standard dress, I believe, just kind of posing, and Amethyst and Pearl in old clothes and design, keeping what's his face. I think it might have been Buddy or Mayor Dewey from falling out of the boat, but they were in those outfits. So Garnet and Pearl are there, and then they're like, oh, you shouldn't be in the strawberry battlefields. They don't say that specifically, but Pearl's like, you shouldn't be here. Here, I'm gonna mark all these locations where you should not go. And then, of course, Garnet, knowing what's probably gonna happen, is like, only the greatest adventurers would go on this adventure. And and then she gives him like a rough pat on the back, which I think she just used future vision and knew that he was going to go to these places regardless, and was trying to make him feel better. So he goes out and looks at all this, and we get kind of like flashbacks. We see what do we see? We see the heaven beetles. Oh, let's see, what is it called? I don't remember. I think it was called the heaven beetle. I'm not too sure. But we see the heaven beetle's little house thing. The bird wasn't there that time for some reason. And then he goes to the lunar sea spire, and draws those weird little things that Steven throws bagel burgers at, and they kind of just go for him. I don't remember what those were called exactly. And then he drew like a picture of the totem for the thing that Steven was supposed to bring on that mission way back in that episode. Cheeseburger Backpack, I believe was the name of the episode. But yeah, so it's kind of just like a big walk down memory lane. He's just going to all these different places, and he wanders into the kindergarten, and he's like looking in one of the hole, and I thought Amethyst was gonna pop out, and then I kind of realized that Amethyst met Buddy, on that boat or whatever. So Amethyst is there and kind of talking to him and yelling at him a little bit. And she has long hair in this. I want to bring this up now, since I can't seem to forget. This episode was very mundane, so I don't really remember too much. But she has long hair in this. So that means in between any other flashback in this one, Amethyst was poofed, resized her, and then when she got her like 80s type outfit, reconfigured, I think it was 90s, but her 90s type outfit, reconfigured her hair to where it was shorter for whatever reason, and then made it long again. I don't understand why, because it used to be, I think it was before they decided to, I think they made that picture before they decided to make it to where Amethyst had short hair back then. Because I think Amethyst was supposed to be inspired by Greg's hair, because she does see her hair and goes, hey, nice hair, and like it. And it wouldn't make sense if she had long hair beforehand for her to go, hey, nice hair, and like it, and then all of a sudden, when she already had long hair, is what I was trying to say. It wouldn't make sense for her to be impressed by Greg's long hair when she used to have long hair. So I think what they did was because the episode where we see the painting is before Poof, so this was before we even knew how Jim's changed. And I think they made that episode, and they didn't plan any of the backstory yet for, Greg and Rose and the other crystal gems, so they just had long hair for Amethyst. Then they went back and made it to where Amethyst used to have short hair, and then grew it out, or when she reformed, grew it, because she liked Greg's. And then when they were making this episode, they were like, oh, let's do it based off those pictures exactly, and then gave her long hair again. But then again, I don't know. Anyway, but she talks about how she's talking to Buddy and makes him realize that, or she goes, did you put all these X's here? He goes, no, they were already put there for me. She's like, so you're following, so you're not really discovering these places. And he realized that he hasn't been going around discovering these places. He's been going around and rediscovering them. Like, he might have been the first human to find them, but he wasn't the first being to find them. So, and then to make him leave and quit crying and stuff, she tells him that there's like a giant sandcastle in the middle of a desert, and he starts wandering around the desert, then passes out, and before he passes out, he sees Rose and a bunch of lions. And then can't think of what I'm trying to say. Oh, and then the clip from the commercial goes, is this the end? And Steven goes, like that thing from the promo for the post Summer of Steven episodes. But so Buddy comes to and is talking to Rose and shows the journal and everything. And he's like, I'm looking for a sandcastle. And she points behind her, and there's a big castle or a big pyramid thing. I believe that was the desert glass. They just didn't know it back then because it hadn't started losing control or something. I mean, and also she was followed by a group of lions, and we found the lion in the middle of a desert, where the desert glass was. So this could have something to do with it. Oh, I just had a really messed up thought too. Alright. I had this really messed up thought that since she was followed by normal lions out there, and it has been kind of, uh, what's the word? I can't think of the word. Hinted. It has been kind of hinted that Rose indulged in some sexual experiments with humans in their form of pleasure. And I just had the idea, what if she... I just had the idea of what if she had sex with one of the lions and created the lion that we know, so she indulged in bestiality. Is it still bestiality? I think bestiality. I don't freaking know. But yeah, I mean, it probably didn't happen. I just had that weird thought. But so I believe that was a desert glass before it started losing control and everything. But and Buddy's like, "Oh, you found it first again. Now I didn't find it." Blah blah. And Rose kind of lifts his spirits by saying, "Oh, yeah, you may not have found them first, but the way you describe them in this makes it seem like you found them." And he feels better, and she's like, "You could write a book." And so he writes a bunch of books, and it shows a montage of him kind of writing books. He's like, "I've written enough books to fill a library." And then Jamie, Stephen, and Connie realize that that's why the library is called. It has the name Budwick in it. It's because his name was actually Budwick, but for short it was Buddy. Um, the library was named after him because he probably created a small version of it, and then they just expanded upon it with other books. And then they kind of like looked at a picture of an old man, and they're like, "Oh, that's the actual Buddy." And they're like, "Oh, I don't like that," so they just mentally replaced the image of the actual Buddy with an image of Jamie in their minds. So yeah, that's all that happened. It took me way too long to describe that, but I kind of like the little. There was nothing built upon this. There's just kind of like a little bit of callbacks and stuff. So I think this was like an episode for people to reminisce with. And the reason it took me so long to review it is because I kept forgetting what I was saying, and therefore I will not.